Okay, so let's call a potential owner.
This is Gregory.
Yeah, so we'll just use their first name. So. Did he say Gregory?
Greg.
Okay.
He likes to go by Greg.
Hello?
Good morning, Greg. This is Jim. You and I had traded phone calls yesterday. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well, thanks, Jim. How about you?
Yeah, good. I wanted to just try and catch you, so thank you for calling back. So what's going on with your rental there in Ballard?
Well, we, until COVID, we'd had two tenants in there, two different tenants for like about 18 years. And then that couple, as a result of COVID, split up and moved out. And then I have, for the last 2 years, rented it to myself and used it as an office.
Oh, okay.
And so
Great.
I'm at the point work-wise, the timing was interesting because we were just talking about whether to put it back on the market because I'm going to be moving into a different office space myself.
Sure.
So that's where the timing was intriguing, and also kind of where we're at life-wise and kids-wise and everything.
Sure.
The time window.
So I saw your mailing address was...
Right.
Have you lived there a long time?
20 years.
Because I used to live at 34th, right on the cliff.
Oh, right.
Like a block away.
Yep.
But I lost my backyard in that storm of 96 or 97.
Like 96,
Yeah.
Wow. Some pretty big erosion and stuff.
Yeah, half the backyard went down across the railroad
Holy
tracks.
cow. Holy cow.
But the guy who bought it after me, it hasn't moved since. So
That's good.
I think I sold it. I sold it in '98. So I
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
so we've been here since I guess just late 2002, like November of 2002.
Okay. So we missed each other, but we would have been
Yeah.
neighbors. So.
Totally.
And I've probably been writing you forever because that's what I.
You've said a few.
Yeah. So you guys are considering selling it at some point, you think? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, again, the timing of just like we had talked about, whether we were going to do any work or whether we were just going to put it back up, because as it sits, it's still in good shape and fully functional.
Sure.
And we had got almost 3 years ago, the people that had been there 8 years were still paying $2,000 then. I think it wouldn't be a stretch to get it closer to 2,500 now, where everything's at and what I've been looking at.
Sure.
But just the timing of your letter, and then to be quite honest, like even the structure of it is appealing, and the capital gains deferment, and like I said, the kind of 5-year window when my wife and I would be looking at probably taking that cash and parlaying it into another secondary property for ourselves, or to live in.
Yep. My first apartment out of college was on Ballard Ave, and I was it was above the guitar store. So.
Right on. Well, and that's funny. I mean, that was pretty sleepy then, probably.
I used to walk up and down that street when I was 24, and I'm like, God, when is Ballard Ave going to take off?
Yeah, same. And I remember people thinking we were nuts when we moved our place out of Fremont to Ballard Avenue into that. It used to be CNC Paints.
Yeah.
And it'd been released for like a year when and again, it was sleepy in '01. So, yeah.
Right.
Quite a transformation.
Well, and I get lumped into people that write offers direct. I'm not a low baller. I'm not trying to find distressed. I've probably bought 200 properties in Ballard since 1991. I paid, ridiculous amounts of money for apartment buildings when we were doing condo conversions in 06, 7, and 8.
Sure, yep.
And so, the tough part with the direct is, we get calls, oh, you're just trying to lowball. No, we're just trying to guess and start a conversation. And, pretty much everybody that meets me, for the most part, will sell to me, if it's in. We just try and make win-win situations. And the price isn't, we don't want to overpay, but, we want to pay fair market value. We just don't want to get into a bidding war and, have to fight for it. And, I grew up with basically no money, so I had to learn how to buy property with no money. So I kind of became the expert in owner financing. And, that nobody really knew about it for the last 30 years, but since interest rates have gone up, suddenly everybody's talking about it. And since capital gains have gone up too, people are looking for ways to defer. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, would you want me to stop by and just check it out for 5 minutes, or
Yeah.
Okay. You got time tomorrow, or
Yep.
how about like 10 a.m. tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
So,
Is it okay if I bring somebody that helps me? Is that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people, it's so funny after COVID. You're like, how paranoid are people? You just, I still am in the habit of just asking, hey, is it okay? And
So it's funny. I mean, like I said, the tenants we had in there, to be totally honest, when the partner went so deep down the rabbit hole of hardcore extreme that they split and divorced. And
Oh,
they've
wow.
been tenants there forever. It really caused quite a stir in that household. But yeah, no.
Sure.
What you mean. So yeah,
Sure.
10 a.m. works for me. And
Okay.
you can bring whoever you'd like. And
Yeah, just bring one of the people that helps me. So.
sounds good.
Okay, Greg. Well, I'm always on time, so I'll be there promptly at 10 tomorrow.
Excellent.
All right. Look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
You say. All right.
Done and done.
Set the appointment. Didn't sell at all.
No,
Yeah.
there's no selling.
The rapport really was built, and he got really comfortable after you mentioned your back. The back of your yard slid down the hill, which
Well,
everyone in Ballard knows.
what you're trying to do with any sell, this is what I teach, okay? And it's no different than sitting down to a poker table, meaning, poker people sit down and they, hey, how you doing? You played before? Nope, never played, and he's a poker pro. You're gauging how that person is going to interact, their experience, and you're just trying to figure out their objectives. So everything was just trying to ask about him and find something that I could find common ground with him on. I mean, obviously being in Ballard and local addresses, it's really easy to connect.
Right.
You're talking to somebody in Yakima, it can be harder because, then you got to bring yourself to Yakima. I was just in Yakima. We bought a 10-unit down the street. I'm just learning the area. Had lunch at ABC Cafe. You're trying to find something about them, right? And so the way I do it is just natural. You can tell just how natural that was.
Right.
There's no thinking. There's no force. There's no script. You're just trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you get them to talking, the conversation stalls out. Some sellers will stall out, and they want to be very guarded because they haven't met you. And you can tell that it might be a more appropriate conversation. Just say, hey, can I just stop by? Yeah. And when you say stop by, it really means, hey, can I just stop by for 5 minutes? That takes the pressure off, like you're coming in trying to put something on the table.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you can spend an hour there if the meeting warranted, but you're setting the expectations that, hey, we're just going to have a quick little meeting, look eyeball to eyeball, check out the property, here, and that's where you would start, because I didn't even get to it now. I would go to and go, this seems like a fair offer. Would you do this offer?
Yeah.
And because I can tell right now, and what he told you gave you information of who he was. And what did he tell you?
As far as
what did he tell you about himself or his business experience?
Well, he moved his business from Fremont to Ballard at a very, very early time, before Ballard kind of blew up. He has second income from the business that he owns.
And he sold a business.
It's actually funny. I went to that bike shop a few years ago.
Yeah. So you're dealing with somebody who's fairly, where I'm getting at is you're dealing with somebody that's very confident in their business abilities. And he may not be an expert in real estate, but he gave you enough information that he's probably not going to be shopping you to 3 other Windermere agents. He's looking for a direct transaction that benefits him with no commissions. He just told us he's comfortable with the owner financing. And so everything there is lining up for that would be a good property to go meet with immediately.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would even go as far as to prepare, reprint the offer, look at the dates, and I would take, I would just take a fresh copy with us.
Okay. Of that same offer.
Yeah, and we wouldn't go with the intention of
trying to get him to sign.
No, you never go first meet. Let me state this: you always go prepared, but you never expect it.
Okay.
Like you could have it in your file. Like a lot of times, we'll go to a meeting, and for cash out offers, we'll have a blank offer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really feel like you went to a meeting at some point, if you feel that they're standing there and they want to sign a contract, depending on where you are, you could say, hey, why don't we go down to the coffee shop and go through this? Right?
Right.
And, so are you saying if I gave you 1.1 right now, you'd sign it? And they'll generally look at each other and say yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's kind of a cue, like, okay, it's time to talk about signing a contract.
Yeah.
If you go and he hems and haws and says, well, I'd really like to get this, and I want more, you could walk into this meeting and he goes, yeah, 920 is fine, but I want 400,000 down.
Oh, geez.
Well, that's an objection at that point that you're probably just talking about a pure cash-out transaction because you're not going to put 400,000 down.
No.
So you would hear his objectives for the sale, and then we might go back, and this is where you get his email address and say, okay, I'm going to go back to the office. I'm going to revise this for you. Give me till 3 o'clock.
We'll see what we can do.
Because we said 10, right?
Yeah, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. tomorrow. So we'd come back, and what your role really, the goal of having multiple acquisition assistants, if we're going to get back to the level we were doing pre-COVID, is I am completely in charge of acquisitions. And I teach everybody on the team how to do exactly what I'm doing by doing it one-on-one with you.
Okay.
And you're going to multiple meetings, seeing exactly how it goes. Mm-hmm. And then you're just trying to replicate that on your own. And you replicate that on your own by then practicing on stuff that we're not that worried about.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which would be the B and C leads.
Right.
Okay. Which means, once you've been to a dozen meetings, you should be able to go in, present the information, mirror and parrot exactly what I've said. The hard part, and this has been the challenge with sending in much younger people, is they lose credibility instantly.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm gray, I'm old, I've been around the block. It's just natural to me. And you send somebody to a meeting who is trying to convey what the company does or what Jim does, and it just doesn't sink in as well.
Yeah.
Now, we can go to the meeting, and this is the hard part. We can go to the meeting, I can do the initial meeting, I can bring someone with me, and then I can say, okay, Andy's going to follow up with you later today. We're going to get the proposal to you. Let's see what we can do to talk about getting this thing in escrow.
Okay.
And then it's 90% your job at that point.
Yeah.
Unless you run into a roadblock.
Right, but at this rate, now I'm taking over, communicating with them. We are
getting them to sign, sending them DocuSign, or getting that, meeting objections, verifying or answering questions on the contract.
Correct.
And getting at the point that we have a baseline to do something with it. And a baseline just means we've reached an agreement to really study it and look at it harder. Because obviously this could be a townhome site, this could be another house in the backyard, although it's limited access, doesn't have a basement. Mm-hmm. So it does have some limitations.
Correct.
You simultaneously, preparing for the meeting, would come back and tell me, if Windermere listed this today, and that's kind of an analogy you can't use because they'll want you to fix it all up and stage it and do all this, but let's just say if a broker just walked in and listed it as is, what would he list it at?
Not 920K.
Well, but you have to bring that information. Mm-hmm. So you might have that information with you tomorrow. So we could go in and go, hey, here they are.
Yeah. We're
just kind of looking at the comps. 920 seems a little high. Mm-hmm. But, if we're going to do owner financing with 10% down, we might be able to do 920. Okay. And there is absolutely no objective to going to that meeting.
Right.
So what else did you hear from him? If you were prospecting Greg, what else would you be pitching him tomorrow?
Partnership.
Well, yes. Now, I wouldn't be pitching it hard.
No.
But I'd spend 30, 60 seconds part of explaining what we do.
Mm-hmm. Maybe asking what his next ideal move would be.
Well, you go into a room and you talk about this is why we would buy it, and yes, we'd probably, we'd keep it as a rental. We'd see if there was any way to add another unit to the property. And I would then go into, obviously I've been doing this for 3 decades in Ballard. We specialize in buying value-add properties where we add partners. And most of our partners work with us are looking to learn how to do property, add value, how to add units, and really everything we look at from the value-add ad unit standpoint, we're trying to make sure that our partners' internal rate of returns are 50 to 100% in equity buildup.
Yes.
So if a partner came in with $200,000 on a project, we'd want to make sure that that had a value of $400,000 once we were done with the capital improvements. Now, that's different from selling the property and pocketing $400,000, you're $200 and you're $200.
Right.
You've created a 2x in value, but it's in equity in a turnkey cash flowing asset.
Yeah.
So to harvest that cash, you either have to sell or refinance. When you refinance, generally you're getting just your principal back and you're retaining the equity in the property.
Correct.
So it's kind of semantic sometimes because people are like, okay, if I put in $1, I get $2. You create this value. We are creating things. We are improving things.
Yes.
So we're taking underperforming asset, we're bringing in talent, materials, and expertise, and we're doubling the value of the asset. But it takes a lot of capital to do it.
It does.
Yes.
He mentioned capital gains deferment is very attractive, and he had mentioned, maybe within 3 to 5 years, my wife and I may be looking to possibly do something then with that amount of cash that's there. How would you link that 3 to 5 year timeline back into kind of creating the conversation of a partnership?
Well, there's two different variables. Obviously, that type of owner probably has other resources, investments, capital. So it may not all be tied up in this.
Right.
And he bought it for $200,000, 20 years ago.
The rental information, I think, was that provided a bit of information. Him telling us, hey, we've had firm renters for X amount of years, and then COVID happened and shit hit the fan. So I think he's very open to the seller financing aspect of it, because he's probably had to rent it out himself, maybe paid for a month or two of vacancy in between of there. It's not cash flowing what he wants it to be.
Sure. Yeah. Well, if he's using it for his kind of home away from home office too, he's probably not really sweating not getting the income in.
Right. But it is...
there are sellers that sweat every penny. And, they're grinding out every dollar.
Yeah.
The difference between buying in high density metropolitan areas versus the burbs is you're generally dealing with a more sophisticated,
savvy individual
owner. And you're dealing with values of properties that have gone up substantially over the last 5, 10, 20 years.
Correct.
And, the funniest part is I look at everything that I started buying in 1990 or 95, and if you would have kept everything, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. And, we look at stuff now, okay, we got to pay $1 million for it, but in 30 years, is that going to be a $3 million property? Probably. At 5, 6, 7, 8% appreciation, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, history has...
So the numbers are kind of irrelevant where you start, because it's it's like the federal government automatically increases their budget by X percentage every year. Oh, I mean, I'm not a high-tech finance guy, but I was like, I was on the board and we were doing the financing for the next year, and they're like, okay, everything's 8%. And so tuition goes up 8%, all expenses go up 8%, but then you go and look, and I'm like, well, when we started here, tuition was $14,000, and now it's $32,000 8 years later, and it's the same school. It's simply because they raised it 8% a year.
Right.
But the reality is everything increases. At the same costs time. Go up. Inflation goes up every year, especially with Joe. Good old Joe. Sorry if you're a Seattle liberal. We're Wyoming Republicans around here.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
We got guns and liquor.
Ever since I started.
When we were in Wyoming, they were trying to serve Hunter, and I was like, cool, all right, whatever. He's 15.
You're cool with that?
Yeah, he didn't order anything, but the server, we're regulars there. The server's like, if he wants something, he can have a beer. I don't care. It's Wyoming.
Right. Gotcha.
So, good lead.
Yes.
A lead. We'll take the meeting tomorrow.
Perfect.
We'll go to it. Your assignment to prep is just a 5-minute CMA. That's all you do. Okay?
And then I'll reprint the offer.
We'll reprint the offer. In a perfect strategy, you try and get the down payment down.
Yeah.
I think he does have some current debt, so that may be a problematic if he's got debt to pay off.
Yeah, it's not free and clear.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
$180K down, we're probably going to come down on that a little.
Yeah, it'd be more attractive.
But so I'm just thinking strategy now wise, and I'm very new to this. We offered him 920. I'm going to go pull comps. Comps probably not going to show 920. We are comfortable if we were to reduce the down payment to 100K and leave it at 920, you would still be interested at that number, or are we trying to work both down?
We just don't know.
Okay.
And that is the challenge of teaching this is you go into the meeting with information, but you don't go in with any preconceived notion.
Okay, got it. We're just providing information.
Yeah, I mean, now, when we walk in, I'll be, the funny guy, like we took a wild ass guess at 920. My analyst here. You ever seen that? The Big Short?
No.
Oh, you got to watch The Big Short.
Is that the one about the housing crash?
Yeah.
I've seen excerpts.
They go into a meeting and he's pitching, and here's my quant. There's some Chinese kid sitting there and he's not supposed to talk.
Oh.
And then he looks at the camera and goes, "My name's Paul."
Oh, and he breaks the third wall.
My name's Paul. I'm not Chinese. And I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just a prop to sit here.
No, I will. I can look important.
But my analyst here tells me the house is worth $850.
Yes. I gotcha.
Because he spends all night analyzing data. Right? So no, we'd have a kind of evaluation of, and part of this process is you're casting a very wide net. You're meeting with people. You're seeing what they want to do. You're seeing if they have something else they want to sell. They see if they do partnerships. You're seeing how you can help them. And then at some point, you try and fine tune it to what is this property worth to us? Mm-hmm. What would the property be worth to another party?
Yeah.
And I'll give you a very good example. Okay. I haven't looked at if Will and his wife got in the car and drove into Windermere Ballard and said, "We're excited. We're buying our first house." And they'd say, "Okay, what are you pre-qualified to?" And, "Well, I'm not pre-qualified." "Well, get the fuck out of the office till you'll get pre-qualified because you're not getting in my car until I know you can buy."
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But anyways, come back in. They go to their mortgage broker. They get pre-qualified, and they're good for $900. Okay. And they say they want to be between 8th Northwest and 32nd Northwest from 65th down to Market Street, and they'd like a freestanding house for $900,000.
Good luck.
Okay, you just said good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, but you just told me 5 minutes ago that's too fucking high.
Right. So that wouldn't be...
Well, which is it?
I see what you're saying.
Which is it?
I don't think you could...
You just said it's too fucking high.
Yeah.
You can't purchase a freestanding house in that criteria I just gave you for $900,000.
No.
Now you can purchase a townhouse, so him and his wife are going to be on the same property with 6 other fuckers.
Right.
And they're going to be parking in their driveway, and they're leaving their garbage cans next to it, and Will can hear the guy next door, banging his wife through the wall, right? Or is that you the other way?
Yeah. I'll prefer that.
The other way, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Will, fucking calm down, baby. Let's wrap it up. I gotta get up in 4 hours.
Jeez, you need to see a chiropractor in the morning. Okay, no, yeah.
But I'm being funny because most people are pre-qualified for $600,000 and $900,000 for a home in Ballard are going to be buying a shared wall experience.
Absolutely.
Or a condominium.
Yeah, new construction.
They're going to buy a townhouse. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you have to go tell me how many standalone houses are available in Ballard under $900,000.
Okay.
I don't think there's many.
No.
So that contradicts what you told me 10 minutes ago that it's overpriced.
At $920.
We don't know if it's overpriced at $920.
Right.
You're going to tell me.
Yeah, I haven't run the data yet.
But I'm trying to get you to understand, okay, there are various ways to look at property. Okay. So we're going to go look at it. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say he said, I want $950,000 and I want $10,000 down. and let's just say that's $50,000 overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no qualified owner financing. How many buyers are there for that?
I wouldn't imagine many.
Nope, wrong answer. The opposite.
Really?
Yeah. Will can scrape together 10 grand and buy that house. Everybody can.
But they'd be willing to overpay.
For favorable terms.
The purchase
And
price.
this is where you have to fracture your thinking that you've been trained for the last 10 years is there's different values for different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not picking on him, but anybody could have had a bankruptcy, a business fail, credit marks, they can't get a mortgage. But I can buy a freestanding house in Ballard for $10,000 down. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I've done it hundreds of times. That is a marketable paper. That's a marketable contract that has value.
So the value is in the agreement, is in the paper, like.
It's trying. You just. It was like the gentleman and I here yesterday, and we were going over an apartment building. He's like, "What's the cap rate?" I'm like, "Okay, you just missed everything I said for 30 minutes. We're buying it at $8 million. It's going to be worth $14 million in 24 months." Yeah, but what's the cap rate today? Okay.
It doesn't matter.
So in real estate, there's price, there's terms, there's down payment, there's what you're going to do with it. Okay? There's exit strategy, there's owner occupied, there's rental. There's 18 different ways to deal with every single property.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going in, if you're filtering it, price, okay? Everything all right? If you're filtering it price, and that's your number one criteria, and you're not looking outside of it, you're eliminating all the options in real estate that I teach. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to go get a good deal or a fair deal, but I'm being funny because if you could buy your first house for $10,000 down in Ballard, no qualify, with no personal guarantee.
I would try to buy 3.
But yeah, and even if you didn't have 10 grand, you'd be on the phone talking to your mom, your cousin, your sister, your buddy, and you go to your buddy. Let's buy it together, right?
Yeah.
We need 10 down and we need 25 to fix it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how everybody starts out. Scrape it together. So that's a different transaction. If he's hard set on 20% down, now that's a different transaction.
Okay.
Okay? But there's a high group of people, okay, that, for most part, if you look at all the different variables, there are different buyers in different categories.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to pause for 2 seconds. Okay, questions? So we go look at it. It could be an investment property play, okay? It could be, a tear down play.
Right.
Small lot, but still works. Everything's being torn down. So we go look at all those different things.
Determine the house.
Yeah, but this is what's hard to teach because you can't just put it in black and white.
No, yeah, you can't just print something out too and say.
And so we go in and we pivot. Like, okay, maybe we write the paper at 920 with 180 down, and we go through it, and it's it's going to be hard to make it as an investment property.
Right.
Okay, so do we hold it up?
We'll see if anyone else is interested.
Yeah, that's been the model for 30 years.
Right.
Okay, and for whatever reason he can't get a mortgage, but he's got 180,000 cash.
Mm-hmm.
He buys it.
Yeah.
Okay, what if he doesn't have our placement fee?
We negotiate.
Well, we sit down with him and go, what can you do? We charge 5%, so I need 45,000. He's like, I don't have 45,000. You got any? I got the 180. Okay, I'll write you a note for 50 grand in a second position.
I see.
Pay me $500 a month for 10 years.
Right.
Well, that's 60,000. I know. We're charging interest.
Yeah.
You're just creating value. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying I can make 60,000 in 1 hour selling him a property? Yeah. I mean, this shit just blows people's mind when they sit in here because they don't think about it because you've been at, in a very traditional shop.
Right.
Because you're creating value. I'm helping him get into his house. Okay? The seller's doing this. And so you're trying every step of the way to find which way it would go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let's just say he's dead set on cash out.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to pull out the comps and we're going to go, whew.
920 is steep.
920 is rich. I could have gone down the street for 840, 860, 870. Then we're going to negotiate harder because the cash out buyer is much different.
Okay.
But then you're going to tell me too, and this is where supply and demand, this is why we've done hundreds of deals in neighborhoods like Ballard, is if there are no houses for sale under 900,000 freestanding in Ballard, do you have something? There's no inventory of any houses for sale under 900,000 in Ballard, and you get one for 875.
We got one.
Do you have something?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because there are none.
Yeah. That's the low inventory.
That's the lowest priced freestanding home available in Ballard. You could hold it up and someone will buy it.
Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
If you come back to me and go, there are currently 16 homes freestanding similar in Ballard sitting. They've lowered their price 3 times, and there's 16 homes between 825 and 925, and one a month is selling. I would say you don't have anything.
Yeah.
If he's firm on 875.
Right.
Meaning that contract is not marketable.
No. No one else would purchase it.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've covered a good session here. So
Yeah.
let's jump on to something else. So, good? This works pretty well.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah. I like the
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, I'll pull a few comps and I'll reprint the offer. Have it ready to go.
Okay.